Josh, you good to go? Okay. Here we go, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Leatha Jones.
Someone once said that music is what feeling sounds like. I couldn't agree more with this phrase. As a matter of fact, the person that I'm going to be able to present today also agrees with this phrase. He believes that music is so much more than just a note on a page, but that it's actually the heart and the soul of our emotion. That person is Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer was born in Germany in 1957. He suffered a tragedy early in his life. His father died, but through that, he escaped in music. He was completely self-taught. The instruments that he knows, keyboard, piano, and guitar, he taught himself through collaboration and experience. It was amazing that he picked things up, and let me tell you, he can play these very, very well. But because of his father's death, music just became his escape. It became, he once told an interviewer, it became his best friend, and it has been ever since. So music is a huge part of his life. Well, eventually, in his teens, he moved to London and kind of tried to figure out what he wanted to do in his life. He started dabbling in different things, joined a band, worked for an agency making jingles. But whatever he was doing, he knew that music had to be a part of it because it was such an important part of his life. In 1980, he ended up partnering with Stanley Myers, who had done multiple film scores for movies. He'd done over 60 of them. So this was a great opportunity for Zimmer to really get involved in this movie and music genre of life, doing this film score. Well, his career with Myers took him to those big signs and big letters of Hollywood eventually, where he was asked to do the film score for a movie called Green Man. Well, people were really skeptical of him at first because this is his first full-length American film, and people didn't know who he was or what he did. They were not sure if he could pull this off. Well, he did, in fact, pull it off. In fact, his film score for this movie was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Music, and the film itself won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. So I don't know about you, but that would be really nice to have on my resume if I was going into film, right? Like my first movie in America won Best Picture. So of course his career took off after that. He did such movies as Driving Miss Daisy and Thelma and Louise, and did film scores for those, which were also very successful. But a huge turning point in his career was when he did the movie that's quite near and dear to most of our hearts, Lion King. Now, does anybody have any guesses at how long it took him to write this film score? 2 years? Anybody else?
3 years.
All right, a few years maybe. After he'd done all the research for Lion King, he did stuff with people in Africa trying to figure out what he wanted this to sound like. When he finally put pen to paper and started writing the score, it took him 3 weeks to write Lion King.
Wow.
3 weeks. Just to put this in a little bit of perspective for you, Lion King is a phenomenon in the music and movie industry. Lion King won the Academy Award for Best Music. It also won a Golden Globe and 2 Grammy Awards. Not only that, but Lion King is now a Broadway show. You can go see a few blocks up. And that Broadway show won a Tony Award for Best Music. So as you can imagine, this took a lot of hard work. To say that he is a genius is a little bit of an understatement. This man created an amazing film score that has touched people for years, and not just in the movie, but also in the Broadway show. So, continuing with his fast track, he has continued to make blockbuster hit movie scores, such as Black Hawk Down, Gladiator, the last 2 Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and the 2 new Batman movies that came out. Well, this is all good and well, but what exactly does making a film score mean? And why is he so much more successful at it than so many others? Well, I'm glad you asked. First of all, Hans Zimmer did something that nobody else had done before. He took the very classical, traditional way of using the orchestra in a film score, and he brought in this new modern tone, this new way of music that people hadn't put in together before. So he took classical and the modern and mixed it together and made these phenomenal scores. So he would use electric instruments such as guitars, violins, and such, and these new tones and sounds, and collaborate them. That they would complement each other so well that they would make these scores. Now you would think, well, isn't that common sense? Well, yeah, but nobody had done that before. When he first started doing this, it was the first. But a film score is kind of a big deal. So this is the first sheet of Dark Knight, which he wrote. But I just want to give you an idea of what exactly a film score entails. So if you see the first line way up there, it says flute, and that whole line is just the flute. There's also, trombone and violin and cello. Each one of these lines represents an instrument. And writing a film score means that you're writing all the instruments in. So this isn't the best example because there's not a lot going on. But think of your favorite movie where there's a really climactic spot and there's a lot of music. It's intense and you're on the edge of your seat. This would have notes all over it. There'd be tons of stuff going on. So writing a film score is huge, and obviously there's technology to help with that nowadays. But it's still a really big deal. Hans Zimmer is able to make these scores magical when he writes them. Now, what I'm going to do is show you a clip of a trailer, or a preview for a movie that came out not too long ago. And I want you to really hear the difference, hear what the music is doing to this. Think of the emotions you're thinking it's evoking in you when you're watching it. And think of it without music and see if it would be any different.
If there's a volume on that, you might want to just. Oh.
Oh, I don't think it's going to work, but that's it. But if you watch this, which is a really good movie, by the way, I encourage you to go online and YouTube it or something, because there's not too much going on in the preview itself. I mean, there's a lot of, it's going fast, but what really catches your attention, what's really driving your emotion is this song, these particular notes that are causing you to think a particular way. And that's exactly what Hans Zimmer did. That was Inception, by the way. And he wrote that, and he wrote the trailer music for it as well. It grabs you in such a way, and it's not going to let you go. How many have seen Inception? Okay, if you would have watched this, you would have want to watch it again, because that's how powerful he makes these particular movies. Like I mentioned before, Hans Zimmer has been able to take these unique traditions and merge them with this new modern twist. And like I said, it wasn't something that anybody did before. And it completely changed the industry of movie scores. It didn't just change it for the directors, the people that make the scores themselves, but it changed it for the people that make the movies, the directors themselves. Because now they're able to use these new sounds and make movies that they wouldn't have been able to do before. Make scenes that wouldn't have been able to catch your attention quite as much as they did before. But anybody would have been able to mix these two eventually and create songs, create these scores. But Hans Zimmer did something that was phenomenal in itself. He set the bar so high so early. His first full-length American film, Rain Man, won Best Picture. He didn't just make a whole bunch of trash and then finally found that gem, that really good score. He started perfect from the beginning. In total, he has won or has been nominated for almost 100 awards worldwide. Just to put it in a little bit of perspective, The Last Samurai, when he wrote the film score for that marked his 100th movie that he had made films for. 100 movies and counting. Pretty good, I would say. Well, Plato once said, music is a moral law. It gives soul to the users, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and charm gate to life and to everything. It's exactly what Hans Zimmer is able to do with his music. He's able to take us on a story, not visually, not through any of our other senses, but through sound, through music. That